I mean, it's just beautiful to see that kind of play from a team, especially out of the North American region. It's something that I look for whenever I possibly can, and it's one of the few times I guess I can say very confidently that Tempo Storm was very impressive in their play. Either way here, Curse Hall is going to be the map. Draft is going to be kicking off. Is there anything you're looking out for? Well, I think Rag on this map will have a little bit less value, but
Yeah,
definitely not neglected.
Obviously, boss control is very important for the teams. To look at the boss control heroic abilities and globals, which is definitely why we see Tempo Storm banning out to Haka. It's one of our larger battlegrounds, and having a global who can stay in lane right until the moment they're needed for tribute fights or anything else is such a great thing to have for any team.
All right, so Naventic here is going to be able to lock in their first pick. Are they going to still move in with the Tychus like we saw last round? I think it's probably the safest route. Like I said, I think the Rag should be a little bit lower in value. I can't, maybe an ETC, just because we do see the double warrior is going to be banned out. So it wouldn't be smart for Naventic to prioritize that a smidge higher than maybe the last game. Instead, going with Malfurion. That's no hesitation here from Tempo Storm. Zeratul ETC.
They have been playing a lot of Zeratul lately, and Zeratul just seems to be climbing up even more and more. He was always could be a potential, but now that he has had his changes, he's a lot stronger. You can be the mobile Zeratul that you like to be playing way earlier on.
Yeah, and it's just a very powerful duo kind of, and a soft response. I brought up in the last draft the Malfurion Zeratul, the synergy that they're going to have with one another, and so it removes Naventic from making that option. Naventic now is going to lock in Zarya and Li Ming. Zarya is such a absolute powerhouse, I think, in a lot of scenarios, especially on maps like Curse. Not only for that boss control that we brought up earlier, but any choke she excels at. Anytime your opponent has to move through a tight area, she can really kind of just punish any part of the front line.
This has been one of my questions, is who will play Li Ming now that we know that Zuna is back on playing ranged, is with the exception of Zeratul. He's still the Zeratul player for the team. We keep Biggie on those heroes because Biggie plays a mean Li Ming, and he played a great Tychus last game too.
Yeah, I think that would be what I would be looking to do if I am going to be Naventic. I think I agree with you in this fact that Biggie can be so impactful, but we know that Zuna likes to be on any hero that he can feel overly impactful for his team, be able to carry, if you will, for his team. And so I wouldn't be surprised. Li Ming was one for him way back in the day in a different roster. But Tempo Storm will end up removing the Thrall here since they already have their melee assassin.
All right, what does Naventic feel they can ban? They can look at some range. They have Li Ming. Rhaegar too, if they want to put June on something else. But June also has always been a big Brightwing player. You're going to ban Tychus, okay.
Tychus off the table, not surprising. Again, he is universally just very, very powerful. So now with the Zeratul and ETC, Tempo Storm, I expect to see another warrior pickup here. I wouldn't be I could be another warrior pickup. I guess they do already have the two melees. Tyrael is one that I would like to see from them. Instead, Falstad Karzim. I still want that last pick to be a Tyrael, but I would be afraid for Naventic to be able to pick that up on their side too. So strange choice to see that high prioritization. Typically when you pick Karzim, almost every single time you want a pseudo support or somebody with a secondary support or utility, and not having that on that draft, it seems weird to be able to prioritize him over, again, some of the other heroes.
Well, Tassadar's still up if that's the way they want to go.
Yeah.
Though I don't know if I see it necessary at this point. I don't know. What do you think?
I want a pseudo support. I just don't like Tassadar in that option. It's like a weird. You're kind of running double support, but you're kind of not. You're not really running necessarily the strongest of front lines in the world.
They are one of the teams though that runs full double support occasionally.
Okay.
They'll do something like Brightwing Ariel or Brightwing Karzim. So maybe they're switching things up. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Either way,
what Naventic picks.
Yeah, Naventic, now that they have already crippled a lot of the warrior pool, Zarya was locked in, Medivh on top of it, and Varian is going to be locked in. We've already seen this today on the European stream, the Medivh Zeratul scenario, and then, or excuse me, the Varian and Zeratul with the taunt being able to deal with him. So that was the Medivh, though. That is not what I expected to come out of Naventic here.
That is a shield-heavy composition. Varian probably won't go it, but could protect himself. But also there is even just parry versus auto attacks. Medivh has shields. Zarya has shields. It's going to be tough for Tempo Storm to break through all of that shielding.
I just question if the Li Ming backline, though, is justified in that. Like, the over shields, it succeeds in the long run. Li Ming works in small cycles of burst. And I just don't think that shielding strategy with your only backline to be, only true backline, I guess, Medivh would kind of be one, is going to be the Li Ming. You want a more consistent damage source, and I can't help but feel like there has to be pinpoint accuracy between any form of CC and Li Ming here on the side of Naventic, or things should fall apart in the long run. And then Tracer is going to be picked up here for Tempo Storm. Tracer is the last thing I expected.
Me too.
That was about bottom. Like, put a list of heroes. Tracer is the last one.
Yeah, I don't know. Especially because Varian can parry for so long. It's not like a block where you only have stacks. It's duration-based.
And and especially with so many anti-burst shields, like the last thing I would want to do is like have my composition again be so based on burst. You can only taunt one, Zeratul or Tracer, choose. That's the only thought process I can really see here in this draft. Is like, well, you can taunt one of us. He's like, but what if we get two? Like, they can't stop both of them. I don't know. That's legitimately the only thing I can think. It's weak when it comes to the front line and hero pools, or front line and just health pools in general. It doesn't have very much raw CC. It doesn't have very consistent damage. The only thing it excels at is picking versus a very good anti-pick team.
Well, both of the compositions, very strange from either of the team. I'm ready to see who's going to take this game number 1 on Cursed Hollow. We're almost ready to get into it. Two very strange ones, so I want to know, do you have a favorite of those two compositions?
I think if you replace the Li Ming with a more consistent damage source,
Can't do that.
I know, but
can't do that.
all right, so I'll still sit with Naventic. I actually like there's more. I'm not saying that I think it's like lopsided heavily in one direction.
Yeah.
But that last Tracer rotation for Tempo Storm was, hopefully going to be justified here in a matter of moments. I think I would like to see, oh, that's it, right? But the Zeratul Tracer, I mean, it can cause havoc and get picks all day. It really can. I just never want to see a team bank on, well, if we don't get 3 picks in rotations, like pre-10, then we're probably going to have a bad time. Like, that's not, you never build a comp and go, well, we're gonna win at 20. Because that's 19 levels that you just lost a video game in. So I hope they have a reasoning beyond that.
Especially when you were already talking about wanting a pseudo support to go along with Karazim.
Yeah.
And then you also want it for Tracer. So I don't know.
It just right here. That's all I got,
We're almost ready to get into the game, guys. Let's quickly talk about Naventic. We talked a little bit about Tempo Storm, their international experience, but Naventic is always, or at least at the summit, was talking about how much of a fan they are, but they've had a lot of changes in the last year as a team.
Probably more than a lot of people at home even remember.
Yeah.
Over 2016 alone, we had 6 iterations of the Naventic roster, and they've stuck together now longer than almost they ever have, which is an amazing 3 months. And now that they've qualified for HGC, have to stick together for 4 more. So we're asking them to stick together pretty much almost double what they've ever managed to do in the past.
It'll be an interesting experience for a lot of North American players, but we're ready for the game, guys. Game number 2 between Tempo Storm and Team Naventic on Cursed Hollow.
All right, here. So on the left-hand side again, in blue, is going to be the lineup for Tempo Storm. Cattle is going to be playing that Tracer that we questioned. Koth and Luck is going to be on the Falstad. ETC will be played by Fury. Hopefully get another huge mosh pit. June is going to be on Karazim. And last but not least is Psalm on the Zeratul.
And in the red, we've got the members of Team Naventic down 1-0 in this best of 5. Big E, Big Impact playing Li Ming. B-Kid playing Varian. Medivh played by Kenma. Tomster playing Zarya. And Zuna on, wait, Medivh? I think Malfurion's played by Kenma instead.
Yes, that is going to be the case there. Yeah, I was like, not only can you not have two Medivhs, but Kenma on anything other than support. Actually, beyond that, seeing Zuna play a support is something I would have been like, no, never going to happen.
How might have frozen over.
Yeah. Either way here, it's going to be a 1-1-3 laning decision here for Naventic early into this game, whereas Tempo Storm's kind of trying to figure out where Naventic's going, and then they'll try and capitalize as the rotation here from the double kill. Tracer Zeratul is rotating down.
Here they come. Here comes the gang squad. Falstaff's here too. Kenma's blown up, but maybe Naventic can get the counter kill. Oh, magic missile!
That's going to be hanging the wrist. Tomster from downtown confirms the kill there. Very well done, but again, Kenma on that Malfurion, his positioning being far too aggressive there, cost him his life. And against a Tracer Zeratul, I mean, I already brought up how threatening that can be in a duo. That's legitimately what I consider Tempo Storm's win condition at this point. Hopefully, he's going to be a little bit more self-aware on where he's right-clicking.
And I like that Tempo Storm are doing this early game gank aggression, especially because B-Kid is weaker as Varian in the early game. He'll start to scale up, especially once he can get taunt at level 10, but doesn't even have Warbringer at this point, too.
Also, Falstad on his build, we're going to see, I mean, it's not that uncommon, but it is for North America overall, I would say, compared to other parts of the world, is just focusing more towards having his auto attacks, and that was the sustained DPS I was referencing that I really want, you have to have into a shield composition, so I like that coming out from Cawthon. But we do see, to no surprise, Kenma a little bit too aggressive again on those right clicks. This double kill comp, that's got to be the sole purpose.
What is confusing me is that he has scouting drone.
I mean,
happening.
Scouting drone's actually surprisingly difficult to lay properly. Yeah. I'll be honest, from a competitive standpoint as the support, making sure you get it in range to be able to punish anybody who goes for it.
Okay.
But close enough, or far enough away that you actually get effective value out of it is a very strange line to cross that obviously has been a little bit too frequent here for Kenma so far.
First tribute spawning very soon. It's in the bottom lane. Karzim's all the way up in the top. By the way, strange talent choices abound this game because Karzim has gone Insight, which I have not seen in a long time.
I just haven't seen it. No, not that's a bit of a joke there. Yeah, Tracer actually goes and gets stun locked instantly. Kato's going to have to get right on out of there with his E. Kenma's going to get the channel again. Zeratul's Psalm is going to be scouted out. Very well done here for Naventic, but they have Giants and Karzim pressuring the top lane. What that does for Karzim as well is again, going to be able to help him, auto attack as much as possible with that insight.
Yeah, there just weren't a lot of people from Tempo who could stall out the tribute. Like, I know that they wanted to stall it as long as they could and get more value out of Karzim, but the people would have had to go in, like, once Tracer lost a lot of health, it was kind of like, does Psalm jump in? Doesn't have Wormhole just yet, so that's risky. So I like that they played it pretty safely. That was a huge charge. Yeah,
what happens? Oh, gosh, but now he might be a little bit out of range. That was a very good route from Kenma, but it doesn't matter. Varian will end up falling here. But this double kill comp, I guess is what I'm going to call it here, the Tracer Zeratul rotations. I was talking about banking on being able to get a couple of picks very early on. I specifically said 3, which we're now sitting at 3, a level advantage, and Karzim has been able to split push, taking out an entire front wall. Even though I criticize never banking on those scenarios, it is working out almost textbook so far for Tempo Storm.
That's putting Naventic behind in experience, a level like you said, but not quite in as tough a position because the first tribute was still grabbed by Naventic, so it's not like that problem where they run into not having heroic abilities at the same time as Tempo Storm. But Naventic can just slow down. They're going to be 7 for this tribute. It's going to be in a good place for them too. They could potentially get up 2-0 in tribs.
That could be the case, but we are going to have the secondary tribute. Tempo Storm has made a far earlier rotation. Saw him getting the dismount onto B-Kid. There's the stun. No combo, though, coming out there. Medivh is going in and taking a lot of damage, so much so that he is going to be sent to a 20-second grave here. I mean, it just looks like Naventic is not on the same page, to be honest. In every way, it seems very kind of, I'll go this way, you go that way, and let's hope it works out. And with a double, isolated pick you off when you're by yourself comp, you just die.
But that player on the portal from Tempo Storm was beautiful.
Yeah.
They camped both sides of it. He came in, and as soon as he went in, he got hit with a pulse bomb, so had to go right back out. They had a welcoming party, if you will, killing party, if you won't, of the rest of Tempo Storm waiting for him to come back and deal what other damage was needed. And he was at 7, so that was starting to stack up on Master's Touch too.
Yeah, and B-Kid did go in there for a little bit of feint aggression. Tempo Storm is backed out, capturing their night camp. The next tribute is pretty much going to be in their favor. There's no way that Naventic, without 10 advantage, will be able to stop this. And Tempo Storm's so close that, honestly, it's one of those things where you can do it, but it's not the risk worth the risk. But it turns out Naventic is going to fully commit. They are completely going to commit, especially with the global on Tempo Storm staying to bottom. We see Zarya is making that transition. You have a very small window, Naventic. Please make it worth it here. Zuna with the dismount.
Make it count. Tomster comes in. Kettle's here too. There's the charge.
That was
Fury's
it.
in trouble.
That was the
Power
window.
slides out.
And it's down now. Falstead's going to make the rotation. Kenma is going to get delayed. 10 is going to be picked up here in a matter of moments. Trickle down experience. There it is. And the Void Prison. Naventic is in a tough spot, Gilly.
Cawthon's there with the Gus. There was the Gus. Here's the power slide in. Fury looking to see if he can land a perfect mosh pit. Once again, you'd love another 4-man mosh pit, but that's not quite the case. There's a protection, but it won't save B-Kid's life. Another kill goes the way of Tempo Storm.
I mean, just the mass chaos here from Naventic in their play. You can tell the desperation that really is happening. And it started from game number 1. You know, things got a little bit weird. They played cautious, maybe not as taking advantage of those windows, but that was the exact opposite. Taking a window that was almost impossible and being that aggressive shows that this is Naventic not knowing what they need to be doing.
It wasn't even a curse either.
No,
it wasn't equal to curse.
That was panic.
It was. And I have to say that it seems like between Diablo and Varian, B-Kid has been pretty far up. I'm not sure if it's a communication thing because a really great player, so I'm not sure if that's the case, but he, even with that super long charge too, he's been in trouble and getting caught out by Tempo Storm, but great punishment from Tempo Storm to find that.
A little, you know, we're given the criticism towards Naventic, you know, I'll dish a little out towards Tempo Storm too. We didn't see the drop of the Void to make sure the power slide could continue all the way through and get a pretty big mosh, but in the end, it really doesn't matter with how much experience advantage that they have over their opponents. They are going to be now locking in this boss. And the next tribute's going to be spawning. No matter where it spawns, Tempo Storm is in a great position as Naventic has just picked up their 10.
Tempo Storm has June holding his heroic ability for a very long time. What do you think he's waiting on?
I honestly don't know. I think it's like, do I get 3 levels ahead so I feel like I can take 7-sided? There's no reason for him really to be holding on to it at this point. I'm pretty confident he's going to go Palm. But maybe not, you know, they do have a really good isolation comp where 7-sided can give value at times, and the raw damage might be something that they feel they need. But for now, the Void Prison 7-sided strike comes into play. Ken was in a bad position. He barely survives with Twilight Dream, and the Void ends up dropping here. So a moment for Naventic to really make the comeback.
Portal is down, but it's going to go right into the mosh pit. Oh, Fury was such a cool place for mosh pit. B-Kid is in trouble too, and the portal goes down. He gets stunned before he can go back through.
Yeah, and now we do see Psalm going back in onto Kenma. He ends up going down. B-Kid's in a bad spot. Taunt lands. Cattle falls. 2 people, 4 people, actually 5 are going to be going down. Naventic just gets flat cleaned up.
A boss, a curse, a team wipe, and 3-level lead once again for Tempo Storm.
But let's take a quick look at how that fight started out. Gilly, give us the breakdown here.
Well, the portal went down. Watch Fury. He's just like, okay, if you want to come through this portal, I'll drop a mosh pit. Expulsion Zone comes out to stop it, but it's too late to stop the first kill. And from that, B-Kids is in a very tough spot. The rest of the team wants to come in and try to help. Psalm is wreaking havoc along with June in the back line. You never know when that Zeratul Karzium combo will come back to haunt you.
Never know when it will come back to haunt you, but now the curse and the boss pushing. Tempo Storm has now made the rotation up to the top boss as well. The map is pretty much theirs, free to roam, do whatever, you know, really whatever they want. It's just, it caught me, you know, look at that, the tweet, you know, the
Cheers,
Tracer
love.
pick. Cheers, love, yeah.
Cavalry's here. Why?
That's tough.
Oh.
That is what that was. You know, Ripperoni and Pepperoni is all you can say to that one. Send your condolences, because there was no way Zuno was going to be able to do that on his own. Frustration here is very high for Naventic, and their play is showing it in every way.
So, I want to hear from Coach Dredd, Pep Talk Dredd.
Okay.
What would you tell them at this point? Is it like, don't worry about this game, just play it out, be done, take a deep breath, get a drink of water, do what you need to do, and go right into game 3? Do you try to bring this back?
Okay, so that starts with the team itself. Like, the whole team has to be able to do that, right? If you say, guys, we still have this one, it's gonna be okay, we've got a shot here, the whole team has to truly believe that. And to be honest, with the way that we just saw that aggression coming out of Zuna, I don't know if that's gonna be the case. So it would say, all right, calm down a little bit. You know, let's just, you know, if we get a fight close to the same talent tier, we're going to take it, but don't get your hopes up. We're going to move to the next one. We already know what we're going to be looking to because, again, with the losers pick format that we have, I get to decide what map we're going to play on, what do we think our best odds are, what are we going to be most afraid of, and then there, if it carries over into that game, you have a problem. You have to at some point, you know, be able to look at the present, ignore the past, and hopefully Naventic is going to be able to do that.
It's interesting too. In the last one, they chose first pick, which is what I would expect from Team Naventic. So you're wanting them to pick map this next time.
I think that would be the best decision for them.
Battlefield of Eternity, or they were picking a lot of Braxis and qualifiers. I don't know. I guess we can wait on that to talk about that when the next Battlegrounds come up. But
I think BOE, that would be a good one. I think it complements the aggression, one they're more known for. But what we have in front of us here is going to be a 2.5 level lead. We have Giants pressuring on top. The only keep available here still for Naventic. There's just pressure happening everywhere. They're just hoping they can get rid of their base and get out there. In team fights specifically, though, there is a silver lining. The fact that Naventic now is 13. Ice Block has been picked up for Malfurion. He's been really kind of the core focus there for Cattle on his Tracer. Psalm has been putting huge pressure onto him as well. So he gets a bit of breathing room after this 13 mark.
There's a lot of safety in general for them. We have more shielding for Zarya too. Pain is temporary. There's quickening, so the portals will be up more often. There was a situation where Varian got stunned out of being able to take the portal, and then the portal was down. Or it might have been Medivh, but either way, portals will be able to be up a lot more often now too, which can help. Naventic understand that this is a really tough situation to be in, and they might have to take a fight down at the 16 talent tier, just knowing where they're at. They're looking to see if somebody is able to be picked off. That's happened before versus Tempo, but this is a different Tempo, it seems to me. They seem like they have really been working on all of the problems that have plagued them for the past months.
No, it very much looks like a Tempo Storm, you know, that's seen a little bit of what happens around the rest of the world, and their draft has come back. Their playstyle has come back to a form that is really never existed in North America, at least not for the past year. And it's very exciting to see it unfold here. Sadly, Naventic seems to be, at least for now, the victim on the other side of the battlefield. But now the boss for Tempo Storm is going to be picked up. It's not a lethal boss yet. It could be if Naventic overextends. 1 to 2 picks is all it takes. And Tempo Storm has, I don't know actually, Tempo Storm has a lot of tools to be able to win the game. I do think they're getting a little bit too ambitious here, but it isn't totally out of control. They have Mosh Pit, they have Gust, they have Void Prison. All of these are insane to be able to deal with, but this boss is only 13 minutes into the game, and unless it has a lot of minions behind it, and Naventic should be able to pick up on 16 if they get even 1 pick, Tempo Storm isn't risking a lot because they're so far ahead, but they're maybe taking a risk they never had to.
But Tempo also has a lot of things to get them out of trouble if it should arise.
Yes.
They have Gust, they have Void Prison, just like you said. So there is a problem. There is the Gust that's been used. Cawthon's kind of in trouble. He's going to stand underneath the boss, just trying to zone everyone else away. Varian gets hit. Void Prison way in the back. Kimmin separated from the rest of the team. The base is at 40-30. Core is falling rapidly. That'll be it. Tempo Storm takes out Team Naventic in game number 2.
Very